Good afternoon. We call this meeting of the Sutter County Board of Supervisors to order. First of all, let's do a roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor McKelly?
Here.
Supervisor Flores?
Here.
Supervisor Ziegemeyer?
Here.
Supervisor Baines?
Present.
Supervisor Conant?
Present. We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. Donna Garcia will lead us, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have David Garcia of Victory Outreach Church lead us in invocation.
Let's bow our heads. Father, we come before you today, God, and we thank you for your grace. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for your guidance and your direction, God, in a very challenging time. I pray that, Lord, today that you would lead and guide and direct every decision, very difficult decisions, God, that need to be made in this time. We pray that your wisdom would fill this board of supervisors and, Lord, that there would be unity here, not only in this room, but God, it would also overflow into our community. And I pray, Father, today that you would be glorified, you would be honored. Bless these men and women that are here today. We thank you now in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 We will now do a special presentation for Chief Probationary Officer Donna Garcia. And Donna, why don't you come up? I don't know how I'm going to do this because if I put my mask on and we're side by side, I won't be able to read it. So I'm thinking I'm going to read the presentation up here, but you can come up in front of us, please, and then I'll come down with afterwards with my mask. Okay. Whereas Donna Garcia, retiring from probational department on January 29, 2021, with over 20 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Sutter County, and whereas Donna Garcia served 2 years in the United States Army from 1985 to 1987 as part of the Military Police Guard Forces Mizzou Army Depot in West Germany, and whereas Donna Garcia became employed with Sutter County on January 1992 as a limited term Deputy Probation Officer 1 in the adult, juvenile, and juvenile intake position, and hired full-time July 1983, and was promoted to Deputy Probation Officer 2 on April 1985, and promoted to Deputy Probation Officer 3 in December of 1987. And whereas Probation Officer 3, she served as an investigator for the courts as well as adult court officer, as needed, and coordinated the Juvenile Accountability Block Grant forces to gang intervention, and supervise youth deposition to Maxine Singer Youth Guidance Counselor Center, and work as well as working with adult probational received high levels of behavioral health services, and promoted to serving probation officer of the adult case planning committee, and promoted to deputy chief in adult unit in July of 2014, and the board of supervisors promoted her to chief probation officer on April of 2015, and used her extensive knowledge of the criminal justice system and local police and practices as they relate to community corrections to help guide the probation department as it has negated a changed landscape of administrative justice in California. Now therefore resolved, the Board of Supervisors of Sutter County offers congratulations and sincere appreciation to Donna Garcia upon the occasion of her retirement, and causes the names of each member to be affixed to the gold resolutions as evidence of the board's individual and collective appreciation for over 20 years of dedicated service to the United States of America and the Board of Supervisors of Sutter County and its citizens. Passed and adopted this 12th day of January 2021, Sutter County Board of Supervisors, and we all signed it. Now, we have a plaque as well as a presentation. So, Donna Garcia, Chief Probation Officer, January 29, 21, Sutter County Board of Supervisors wishes to extend to you this occasion of your retirement our most sincere appreciation for more than 20 years of faithful service to the citizens and government of Sutter County. Sutter County Board of Supervisors, we all signed it. So now, turn that on. Oh, we'll leave that on. Thank you, Donna. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair, Conant, and members of the board. I would just like to thank you for the opportunity to serve Sutter County as Chief Probation Officer for the last 6 years, and just to be a part of the county team. I also want to thank Steve Smith and his office for all of their guidance and support over the past several years, and all of the other department heads and leaders in other partner agencies in our community. And I especially want to thank my two deputy chiefs, Nicole Rittner and Danya Thompson. Without them, this job would have been much more difficult, but they made it easy for me just running the day-to-day operations of our department and doing it so well. And then I also like to thank my husband, Jeremy, who's also in the audience, for his unwavering support while I have been chief, but also throughout my entire career. And it's just been an honor and a privilege to work with all of you and just to be able to serve my community. It means a lot to me. I'm sad to be retiring in some respects, but I'm really excited and looking forward to retirement and spending more time with my family. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Donna. I'd just like to say a few words. First of all, you know, you've done a fantastic job. You've always had this can-do attitude. Let's solve these problems. And, you know, some of our citizens have had where they get into trouble, and your department makes sure these people become members of society that are contributing back to society. And I think that that's really good and very needed in our society today. And you've always done that and never judged people, and I think that's fantastic.
Through the chair. Yeah, Donna, I want to say it's been an honor to working with you the last 2 years. got a lot of respect for public safety, and especially our probation department, what they have to deal with everything that's been handed down. I mean, they literally have to deal with it. I mean, from prisoners that are supposed to be in prison, going to jail, and then getting out, early release. They got to deal with it. It's bad stuff. Putting their lives out there on the line every day. Thank you so much. You've trained a heck of a department. We're lucky to have the next stepping up from within the department. And that is amazing. When you have someone inside coming up and stepping up, it's so cool. I could be more pleased, and we're sad to see you go, but I know you're excited to be able to hang out with your family, go on trips. Hopefully we get through this COVID and you're able to go places soon. But thank you so much for 20 years, especially the last 6. Thank you. And thank you to everyone else in the department. Thank you.
Through the chair. Don, I just want to thank you for your years of service and dedication to the community, and just wish you the best in your retirement. Good luck.
Through the chair. Yeah, thank you so much for your service. Of course, I'm just getting here and you're just leaving, but it's an incredibly tough job, so thank you very much for all your service.
Thank you again, Donna.
To the chair.
Yes.
Briefly. Last comment. Well, maybe. Donna, thanks so much. It's been a real pleasure working with you. Back in somewhere around 2014, I can't remember which year, I spent about 6 months over at probation, not by court order, just by my and I was not the interim chief. I was just helping with administrative issues since I was a deputy CAO. But I got to learn a lot about the department, the amazing people over there, the really, really tough job that they do, the precarious funding. Donna's a pro. She's represented us well at CPOC and other state meetings. She's run the CCP, Community Corrections Partnership, and she came from within as well. And I'm just so happy for her, sad for me, but she's been a great partner in the department head group. I mean, I just can't say enough about Donna. So thanks, Donna. We're really going to miss you, but congratulations.
Hey, through the chair, one last comment.
Dan,
here.
I'm sorry.
Don't forget about me out here.
I'm sorry.
Donna, I just want to say I remember when you first started 6 years ago, but I didn't realize you had that long history that Supervisor Conant read. I mean, you must have started when you were, I don't know, 10 years old or something, because you found the fountain of youth definitely as the probation. But I'll tell you that you've done wonders in the last 6 years with the probation department. Your leadership is going to be big shoes to fill. I know it will happen, but it'll be big shoes to fill. You know, as Steve mentioned too, at the state level, we're well represented because of you. And I just want to wish you the best on your retirement, and have a good time out there with your family. And hopefully we can call on you when needed. Thanks, Donna.
Thank you, Dan. Sorry I neglected you. I forgot you were up there up on the wall.
No worries.
So we are now going into the thank you again, Donna, for your service. I can't believe you're retiring, but you seem like you're too young to retire. But anyway, that's there. Okay, next we will go on to the public comment. Members of the public will be allowed to address the board on items of interest to the public that are within the subject matter and jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors. State law prohibits that no action may be taken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. And our first speaker today is Dr. Karen Villalobos, Twin Rivers Charter School. And there is a mic, I believe, on the podium, or you can use that one, either one you want to use, whichever you feel comfortable with. And Karen also presented this to the board, each one of us. And Dan, I don't think, obviously you didn't get one, but maybe she emailed it to you. No.
No, I didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
Dan, I'll email it to you.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
Go ahead, Karen. Sorry.
Good afternoon, board, and thank you, Chairman Conant. And I just want to do a quick shout out and thank you to Steve Smith. You know, a person takes their job very seriously when they are willing to respond to emails on a Saturday evening at 8 o'clock after the second COVID-19 vaccine clinic. So Thank you to Steve for engaging in some correspondence over the weekend. The first thing, I have two pieces. The first is a letter that was co-authored by many representatives, school districts, and board members in our community, and then I would just like the permission to just say a few words that represent Twin Rivers Charter School. So I'm kind of speaking on two, but I'll keep it brief. I promise, Matt. Matt was my former boss at East Nicholas High School years ago, so I feel like I'm back in the old days of addressing my board president. And then I have my current board president here, and we have a board member as well. So Twin Rivers Charter School is certainly well represented today, as well as Chrissy Jolly. On behalf of Sutter and Yuba County School Districts and LEAs listed in this letter, Yuba College and the 4,385 students served in Yuba County, the 6,405 students served in Sutter County, and the 6,700 students from our communities that Yuba College serves, we are respectfully requesting our local County Board of Supervisors intervention in the Yuba and Sutter Public Health COVID-19 vaccine schedule to ensure compliance with the state of California's hosted under the vaccination plan. The majority of the school districts in both counties have returned to in-person on-campus instruction or will be returning shortly in early February 21. We respectfully ask that all groups in Phase 1B, 1B Tier 1, individuals 65 years and older, and those at risk of exposure at work in any sector be given immediate access and choice to receive the vaccine concurrently under 1B Tier 1. Neighboring counties, including Butte County and Nevada County, are vaccinating their at-risk sectors, including educators, even holding vaccination clinics to facilitate the systemic distribution to the most at-risk individuals. Nevada County will vaccinate 1,300 educators tomorrow, actually. The children of Sutter and Yuba counties are counting on the adults in our community to support their mental, physical, and emotional health. Ensuring frontline educators' health is paramount to on-campus instruction and schools reopening across our region. Let's work together in supporting each family's choice by supporting access to vaccines for our educators who are at risk of exposure every day as they do this critical work educating our youth. And that this letter is signed by Dr. Tawny Dodson, Yuba College President, myself, Mike Postian, Twin Rivers Charter School Board President, John Jelovich, Twin Rivers Charter School Board Member, Sam Givicki, Twin Rivers Charter School Board Member, Zach Milner, Twin Rivers Charter School Board Member, Inga Carlsjoy, Twin Rivers Charter School Board Member, Nicole Newman, Wheatland Union High School District Superintendent, Tony Lopez, Wheatland Union High School District Board President, Shondell Meter, Wheatland Union High School District Board Member, Patty Inglis, Wheatland Union High School District Board Member, Greg Forrest, Wheatland Union High School District Board Member, Craig Gensler, Wheatland Elementary School District Superintendent, Nicole Crabb, Wheatland Elementary School District Board President, Jeff Roberts, Plumas Lake Elementary School District President, David Villanueva, Plumas Lake Elementary School District Board President, Dr. Val Dillon, Nuestro School District Superintendent, Debbie Everett, Nuestro School District Board President, Bill Hanold, Faith Christian School Superintendent, Lance Halliday, Faith Christian School Administrator, Heidi Ramey, Paragon Collegiate Academy Superintendent, Chris Mahurin, Core Charter School Executive Director, Laura Gonzalez, Yuba County SELPA Director, Patrick Brose, Camptonville School District Superintendent, Ryan Robinson, Sutter Union High School District Superintendent, Cynthia Rachel, Sutter County Charter Director, Stacy Kalin, Britton School District Superintendent, Joe Lemminger, Britton School District Board President, Brandon Hunt, Britton School District Board, Russ Takata, Britton School District Board, Amy Chatra, Britton School District Board, Ben Moody, Britton School District Board, and Mark Beebe, East Nicholas High School Superintendent. So I just want to make a few comments from Twin Rivers Charter School and myself and our board. 3 weeks ago on January 4th, 2021, Dr. Liu met with the Bi-County Superintendents Group. During this meeting, we were given timelines and protocols to begin planning for the vaccination of all educators in the Bi-County area beginning in early February. The guidance was from the governor and the California Department of Public Health, and Dr. Liu was following this guidance. On January 16th, several educators from Sutter and Yuba counties were vaccinated as the rollout process for the vaccination clinics began, again following guidance. On January 19th, the school district superintendents received an update from Dr. Liu. The guidance had been changed, and it was her duty to follow the guidance and begin vaccinating only individuals 65 years and up. Dr. Liu stated she understood our devastation, but there was nothing she could do. It was the guidance. Yesterday, January 25th, during the governor's 12 o'clock news conference, it was shared that educators in Tier 1B would have equal priority alongside seniors 65 and up to receive the vaccine. We met with Dr. Liu at 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, knowing there was light at the end of our tunnel, and we would be getting our educators and all frontline workers vaccinated. During the meeting, we were told that she would not be following the directive from the governor. 1B sectors, including education and childcare, emergency services, and food and agriculture, would not be given priority equally. She stated it was her moral imperative to make this decision. I do not understand how our Dr. Liu can make choices to follow the governor's guidance one day and then decide not to follow that guidance the next. How do we explain this to our educators and frontline sector employees who are hearing now that the state guidance gives them access, but our counties do not? There are many districts around our county that have already vaccinated their educators, and we wish to do the same. Not only do we need to worry about learning loss for our students, we need to worry about their mental health and of our students, our staffs, and parents. My moral imperative is to the education community. Again, I understand and respect highly Dr. Liu's opinion, but I am asking you, her and this board, to follow the governor's guidance and let our educators and all sectors in Tier 1B be allowed access to the vaccine. As I read the Board of Supervisors' proposed resolution today, one of your top priorities is maintaining a strong commitment to public safety. I know when you consider your duties to carry out safety, it includes all community members. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Before we move on to another public comment, I understand Dr. Liu's on the line, or do we have her up top? Is she on that board? Okay. Dr. Liu, would you like to respond to this comment?
I have a public presentation, so I'll defer until my public presentation, sir.
Do you guys want to have our presentation now? Yeah. We can do that, Steve, right? During public comment period?
Sure, you can choose to whenever you want. There may be other related public comments, though, that you want to hear.
Okay, we have one more public comment. Courtney Allen has one on, it says the board open. Is it the same issue? Yours was on item 23. I don't have a card. Okay, but you don't have one for the public comment period. Oh, you do? Okay, I don't see one here. There's a 23 and a 23 and a 23.
Yeah, through the chair, Matt. Let's just let her go right after.
Yeah, why don't you just go after? Why don't you go up, Courtney? Okay. Well, why don't you go up? Well, why don't you go ahead and do yours? You're on the list already for public comment, and then we'll get this lady here, and then yeah, perfect. Thank you. Okay. Well, we'll get to. Well, you need to fill out a card if you guys want to do that, preferably, so we have a record of it. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry, really have that person-to-person content. My voice is loud enough anyways. But it means a lot, and I thank you, and I believe that you are all representing your constituency well by doing this, and I also believe that you are representing the Bagley, Keene, and Brown Acts well. And so I just wanted to commend you, and I wanted to say thank you, and it means a lot. So thank you guys.
Yeah, we just want to do it safely, that's all. Okay, next public comment. Thank you, Courtney. Who else?
Yeah, is that okay?
Okay. You can go at either, you want to just go ahead and get started? And then who else wants to make a comment? Oh, we have just one person. Thomas Burns, right? Thomas? Okay, all right, go ahead, sorry. I don't have a card, but that's all
I'm
right.
representing the group Free.
Please state your name and your...
Kimberly Reinhart, District 2. I'm representing the group Free Yuba-Sutter counties. May I have the 5 minutes for comment, please?
Okay. It's supposed to be a 3-minute comment period.
You don't do 5
Well,
minutes?
Karen was doing 2 things, so one for the schools and one for her own charter school, so that's what she did.
Well, can I do one for myself and one for my group then and get 5?
But let's just go, see what you can get done in 3 minutes.
I'll talk fast. I'll read fast. I'm a born and raised Northern Californian, 52-year-old mother of 5 adult children making their way in the world independently. Also grandmother of 3 school children of whom live here in Sutter County. I'm a small business owner, born and bred of 55-year-old successful small business owners, a bookkeeper, and a small business consultant. I am here to implore you, our elected supervisors, to do everything you can to turn Sutter County into a true constitutional county. From the U.S. federal Constitution, I call for our First Amendment rights to freely, peaceably assemble, the free exercise of religion, and to freely petition the government for a redress of grievances. I call for our 14th Amendment rights to make a living. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. From our California Constitution in Article 1, the Declaration of Rights, Section 1, all people are by nature free and independent and have inalienable rights. Among these are enjoying and defending life and liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and pursuing and obtaining safety, happiness, and privacy. Section 7A, a person may not be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law or denied equal protection of the laws. Our bodies themselves are, by natural law and by state legal definition, our own property. We cannot be forced to wear masks or to take a vaccine in order to function normally in society, in public spaces and public businesses. Even if the California legislature made these COVID-19 state guidelines California law, it would still be wrong to command these laws. There are immoral laws written every day that should be fought against and repealed. I implore you, the county supervisors elected by the people of Sutter County, to say no to our Governor, Gavin Newsom, who has abused his very limited state of emergency powers, who turned those limited powers into a free-for-all of one-man totalitarian control. From the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form, as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. To be clear, I am not advocating abolishing our current government. I think our current government constitutions is the best and structure is the best it's ever been in history. But I do write this to help us all remember that our rights don't come from the government. They are inalienable rights that we have when we are born as sovereign human beings. Our unalienable rights have been trampled on by a rogue governor who is no longer following the rule of law. Please declare Sutter County a constitutional county not under the California state of emergency any longer, but ruled by true law, by the federal and California constitutions, with true due process for the people to enjoy life, liberty, and property with equal protection of the laws. The time is now to turn our community around back to true liberty for all. It starts here. It starts with you, the elected public servants who make the decisions for what to do with our tax money that is collected for this county and administrating that here for the people of Sutter County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our next speaker is Thomas Burns.
Good afternoon. I usually don't come to the Sutter County. I spend most of the time at the Yuba City meetings, but wanted to come here today. And I'm going to give the perspective, my perspective, okay? And I'm going to give how I see it as a Bible-believing Christian, okay? What is going on in the world today. Okay? First of all, I have never seen such a grand psychological operation as I'm seeing unfold this year, or 2020. But as a Bible-believing Christian, okay, I will never bow my knee to Dr. Wu, to any politician, to any agency. I will maintain my own personal liberty. Okay? And I will not bow the knee to the Antichrist system. And that's what I'm looking at, the Antichrist system. I'm a Bible reader, okay? I'm a Christian that actually reads the Bible. And when it says in the Bible that in the last days, strong delusion will come to many, that they will believe a lie. I believe that. I'm assuming that prayer was made in this chamber before the meeting also. That's the God I'm talking about. And when it says in the Bible, and power was given unto the beast to make war with the saints, okay, I believe that. And when it says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or their forehead, I believe that. And I believe I'm seeing the precursor to that right now. So, no, I will never bow my knee to the Antichrist system, ever. And I will maintain my personal liberty at all cost. Okay, now I respect other people's rights and their religious beliefs. They're entitled to them. We have that in America. But don't be deceived. You will never give me a vaccine. And you can take mine and give it to whoever else who's dying to get one. So that's where I stand on it. Thomas Burns, Yuba City, California.
Thank you. We have one on Teams, Nancy Vasquez.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. We don't see you, but that's all right. Go ahead.
Now, can you see me?
Oh, there you are.
Okay. Thank you. I'm new to this virtual Board of Supervisors meetings. Thank you for letting me speak. I will be very brief. I know that there's a lot of people who have a lot of things to say today. Again, my name is Nancy Vasquez. I'm a direct administrator at the Agency on Aging Area 4. So we're located in the city of Sacramento, Sacramento County. We represent the older adults and their caregivers in a 7-county region that includes Sutter and Yuba counties. We're currently serving hundreds of isolated, lonely, homebound Meals on Wheels clients. As of COVID-19, we've served an additional several hundred older adults that have become homebound and isolated and lonely as a result of this disease and fear and need to be indoors to not become ill and spread the disease. We all know that for those people that do want the vaccine, there was an urgency, including teachers. And I understand that, and students as well. And we understand that as representatives of the Asian community. However, I just want to emphasize, remind people, or let people know that may not be aware, that older adults 65 and older may only be 10.5% of those who have been infected in the state of California. They are 70% of the people that have already died. So let that sink in. Less than 11% of the people that have been infected in the entire state of California, over 40 million people, they are 75% of the people that die from this disease. So it's imperative that older adults receive the vaccine, particularly those 65 and older, whether they live in home, whether they're homebound, or the only homebound results as a result of COVID-19. A lot of adults, older adults, haven't seen their families, haven't visited for Christmas. I haven't seen my mother in Florida in over a year. We did per Zoom in Teams, like this meeting. It's imperative that older adults are allowed to see their families, allowed to go back out in their communities, allowed to see their grandchildren and their children that are in the school system, and many of their children that are teachers as well, that work in the school system. But as advocates for older adults, I just want to remind people that it is imperative that we save our vulnerable, our most vulnerable population and the most strongly hit as a result of this horrible, horrible disease. Not all older adults, like the rest of the population, want the vaccine, and that's fine. But we're urging you to follow the states and your local public health departments, counties, cities, to enable older adults to access this horrible disease to prevent them from dying at the higher rates that they currently are. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for your comments. Dr. Liu, I would like to hear from Dr. Liu, if that's all right with the board, because this is all related. Dr. Liu, are you on?
Yes, I'm on. Can you see me okay?
Now we can.
Okay. Donna or Stephanie, can I ask your assistance in putting up the presentation?
We have it up, Dr. Liu.
Okay, all right. So you're going to have to tell me because I don't see it. I will go by my screen and then you let me know, okay? So this presentation is intended to update the community about the UK variant and vaccine rollout implications. Next slide. Okay. So what is the UK variant? It is a variant that is confirmed in the United Kingdom. By March 2021, our United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention project that UK variant called B117 will become the dominant virus strain in the United States, possibly earlier in California. It is confirmed to be more infectious, meaning that it is at least 50% more rapidly spreading than the current quote-unquote wild-type strain among both adults and children. Then, latest and breaking news, as of Friday evening, January 22nd, so a mere 4 or 5 days ago, the United Kingdom New Emerging Respiratory Virus Threat Advisory Group, short for NERVTAG, reported that there's preliminary evidence that the B117 variant is also 30% more deadly. That is really worrisome. Next slide. So here, what you're seeing in this chart is from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I'm going to bring your attention to the row where it says 65 to 74 years old. And as you can see, if you're 65 or 74, the CDC predicts that you have at least 5 times higher risk of hospitalization due to COVID and at least 90 times higher risk of death. And the risk of hospitalization and death increases per decade. 1284, you would see as 8 times the risk of hospitalization, 220 times the risk of death, and then much worse in 55-year-old. Next slide. So with what we now know about the UK variant, it is our moral imperative to vaccinate as many Yuba-Sutter residents who are 65 years and older as possible before March 2021. We are dealing with a tsunami coming towards us, a train of death and transmission to lots of potential hospitalization. We know who's gonna die. Just like Ms. Vasquez just mentioned, nearly 8 out of 10 deaths due to COVID-19 are those 65 years and older within Yuba County and Sutter County. This is not just statistics, it's not national statistics, this is our local statistics. Our hospital, please note, is still reeling from a winter surge upon a surge. We have very, very fatigued doctors and nurses, and they are really worried about this new variant that's upcoming. Here is again the data that you can see for yourself. The pie chart here is on the Sutter County side. You can see 80% of those who died from COVID-19 were older than age 65 years old. On the Yuba County side, it's not that much better. It's 70% of the proportion. Next slide, please. When everyone is a priority, no one is a priority. The dilution of the vaccine rollout of 65 years and older individuals and adding back or adding alongside the 3 frontline sectors of education, child care, food and agriculture, and emergency services will inherently mean less vaccination in the next year for those 65 years and older. Even 10 doses, 50 doses, that is just less that's going to go for those who we know will end up in the hospital, who we know will die. The proportion of the cases is very small, like Ms. Vasquez is saying. The proportion of hospitalization and death is really many, many folds higher. And really, we need to take a step back to realize that even if teachers and other school educators are vaccinated, children are not, because the vaccine is not approved for children. And the UK variant has been highly proven to be infectious and deadly. So we need to be very cautious, because even if adults are vaccinated, we haven't proven that they can stop transmission. You can still be vaccinated, not get the disease, but still harbor the virus in your nose, in your mouth, pass it on to another person, whether it be another adult, a child. The child will bring it home to the parents and their grandparents. That's what we are seeing over and over. Transmission from household members who go out into the community, whether it be for work, for schooling, and bringing that back. We have lots of children living in multi-generational housing, and the inadvertent transmission, greater than 50% of transmission cases, new cases, are due to asymptomatic transmission. So by the time that it's spread to these fragile 65 years and older individuals, it is too late. That is why we need to, in the short term, focus all of our efforts, all of our bandwidth within the vaccine rollout on those 65 years and older to save their lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Liu. Any comments from the board?
I have a lot of comments.
Okay, go ahead, Mike. Why don't you start first and we'll work around.
Better give me about 3 hours here. All right, Dr. Lee, you still with us? All right, first of all, 100% agree with you with Constitution. I do agree with you, 100%. You know what? I have a business here in Sutter County. I have friends with businesses, friends with, my mom's 66 years old. Grandpa's 86 years old. I just had a brand new baby less than 4 days ago. So 100% agree. But what happens is, what doesn't help out is the fact that we have an outgoing president that says, we're working on this, which is amazing. Look where we're at. We got this vaccine. And then you have an incoming president that says, we got no plan. I don't know what's going to happen in the next several months. But yet you just said months ago that you had a plan when you're going to take over. There is no plan. It's like we're shooting in the dark in this thing. So we got to do whatever we can. We knew we were going to get here. We knew it was a matter of time when this was going to happen. And we did nothing. All right? We threw money at it, but that doesn't work. You know what? It's called solutions. We work on solutions, what we can do to get people healthy. A few solutions are we space the kids out in the classrooms. We bring in the HEPA filters. We bring in the machines that even filter those. That's already happening at some of the schools. Sutter High School has been doing that. All right? We make it to where the kids have a 99% chance of not getting at school. And I think these schools are doing an incredible job of setting up for that. They want to keep the kids safe. They don't want the kids to come back. And you see on the news where kids are running through the hallway, that's a scare tactic. It's like, don't believe everything you see on the news, you know, and saying, look what they're doing, all right? You know what? We do believe in safety here. We do, and we want to do whatever we can to help everyone out. One suggestion would be to, well, first of all, it looks like we've had about over 5,000 vaccines so far, 5,000. I personally would like to see every day on the bulletin how many vaccines have been given out so people know. Oh, wow, we've had this many passes, how many vaccines? So we see, everyone. That's what everyone wants, transparency. We want to know what's going on. The other thing is, now, you can teach, first of all, you can do a lot of things from sick from home, from the flu or whatever. You could still teach that class, but you can't keep the bad guys in jail, and you can't go out and take care of these bad guys if you're not feeling well. It behooves me to know why, first of all, our safety responders didn't have this vaccine right off the bat. I'm scratching my head there, Dr. Lou, on that one, all right, because you don't have sheriff deputies, you don't have firefighters, you don't have probation officers, got a lot of bad people doing bad things, all right, so, and looking at these numbers and seeing this, we could have vaccinated them fairly easy. Now, we didn't know about this UK deal until recently, so that's one thing. We should have put this through. And the other thing is, we have so many amazing groups here in the Yuba-Sutter area, the food bank and so forth, which fellow Supervisor Carm's on. And for those 65 and older that we say, you know what, I'm so sorry, but we're going to give this vaccine to this public safety or the school teachers so we can keep these kids in school, we're going to do whatever we can to keep you safe. You know, we're going to get your groceries. We're going to do whatever we can. I'm serious. You know, we wanted you to do whatever. Now, here's the crazy thing. We live in America still. You are free to do whatever you want to do. If you want to go out and do whatever, that's your right. It's your God-given right. But we will do whatever it takes to keep you safe while we don't give you the vaccine, because your life is just as important as mine and my newborn and yours, Mr. Burns, and everyone else. And we don't.
It's not the government's job to keep us safe. We're
So,
supposed to keep ourselves safe.
yes, hold on. Sorry. So, that's the big deal, is trying to figure out how to keep our teachers and our public safety so we can keep these kids in the classroom as safe as environment as they possibly can. And the teachers and the administrations, they're on their way of doing that. But we got to help out with those tools. And when the rules keep on changing on a weekly basis, I mean, first of all, the governor says that here's our recommendation. This whole time it's been, here's guidelines. These are guidelines. It's not like this is what you're going to do. Now all of a sudden today it says like, hey, in mid-February we're going to change it up again and we're going to have a third party come in and administer everything. That's what they said today, a third party, mid-February. That's 3 weeks away. So a lot can change then. So once again, it's doing whatever we can to get our public safety and our school teachers the vaccine so they can continue to keep our community safe. And you're going to laugh. You're like, what do you mean that school teachers keeping the community safe? You know how many suicides there's been and how many kids are out there that don't have that teacher that they can fight in? It's heartbreaking. Absolutely breaks my heart. I know someone personally that the daughter tried to take her life. You know, and sitting at home miserable. Last week, the starting quarterback somewhere in California took their life. They were miserable at home. All right? That's safety too. That's someone's life. It wasn't COVID, but it was the fact that they were at home and they were miserable and doing everything that they're told to do. And it's just heartbreaking to see all this, and we keep on talking about the problems, because that's the problem with America, is we talk about the problems and we don't try to come up with a solution. All right? And we have to work on the solution as a group here in Sutter County. All right, trust me, we all love everyone here in Sutter County, and every one of us here, believe in the Constitution. And we all want to keep everyone safe. But Dr. Lou has a job to do, and her job is to do whatever she can to keep this community safe. And we have a job to do, and we are elected by the people to be your voice on your behalf. All right? And like I said, me personally, I'd like to see us implore Dr. Lou to give the vaccine to at least, if we get half the doses, put this half for our public safety and our school teachers every time, and our 65-year-olds, and then those other 65-year-olds, we get in dialogue with them and say, look, we will do whatever it takes to make sure you are safe, to help you out. If you need groceries or whatever, we'll do it. But your life means everything to us as well. We have to keep the community safe. And hold on for a second. I'm going to go through my notes here. Sorry about that. Just bear with me right here. Okay, another thing is I'd like to see us as a group send a letter to our governor and demand the difference of monies that we were given. There's a thing called CARES Act, all right? And that CARES Act money, almost $4 million of it went back to the community. Not just in Sutter County, but the city of Yuba-Sutter, to help out these small businesses so they could have a business, so they can therefore have employees and people can collect their paychecks. What happens is when large cities collected 100 to 197 per person and small communities collected 102, the difference of $8.8 million. So as a board, like I said, I'd like to see us consider writing a letter demanding the governor the rest of this money. And it's not fair because they demand things of us on a daily basis and they don't come through on their side. And as a person in the community, you know, before I was a supervisor, I was one of you. Upset, irritated, what's going on? When is my 66-year-old mom going to get her vaccine? When is my grandpa going to get his vaccine? What's going on? Because everything changes here or there. It's like the rules keep on changing. But the way I see it, we still hold the cards. We still are the ones, us 5 supervisors, that set policy in Sutter County. So, and Dr. Lou is an employee of Sutter County. So, therefore, like I said, me personally, I'd like to see half the vaccines be given out to our public safety, first responders, and our school teachers, and we work with the others 65 and over and keeping them safe and doing whatever we can to get them their groceries, foods, or whatever. But
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Carm, you want to go next?
Yes, through the chair. I think it's very clear that I don't agree with what the governor always has to say. Like Tom Burns here has the same sentiment. But the direction the governor gave yesterday was very clear, that he feels that simultaneously the vaccination or vaccine could be given to educators, those in child care, emergency services, and all the others that are listed in 1B, which includes farm workers, agriculture, and along with those that are 65 years and older. He made it very clear that those that are 65 years and above right now have 75% of the deaths are in that category. And but again, understand if we are going to open up our schools again, that and from this crime, that's what everybody wants to do, is that we need to make sure that our teachers and their staff and everybody, that they're safe as well. And when you mention, statistics of these, kids coming home from households where they have elderly, whether they're multiple generations or they go see their grandparents or 65, well, guess what? They could get it from school and take it back to them too. And so, so I understand. Thank you, Dr. Liu, for all the information that you've given us. You know, we're hearing about the variant and how it's going to be full-fledged in our community by March 1st. We're hearing about the variant from South Africa. We're hearing about the Brazil variant. I mean, they're all they're out there, right? I mean, I think it's our duty to get as many vaccines as we can out to the community as soon as possible. Obviously, those who want to or are willing to, that's their choice. But a letter to the governor, I think, would be more along the lines of getting us more vaccines so we could protect more people in our community. And the public safety is government's #1 responsibility, and I think it's important for us to be very transparent, but allow it to both, going back to the state order as of yesterday, was that you could do both simultaneously, protect those that are 65 years and older, and also those that are in 1B. So that would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Carm. Dan, did you want to address now, or do you want to wait? Or do you, because I don't want to forget you.
No, I can address now. That's fine. You know, I think this is a really tough issue, obviously, when it comes to vaccines. And I think about, you know, what Dr. Liu has mentioned, and I'm listening to my fellow board members speak as well. And I'm also in education and understand the dire need to get my staff and faculty vaccinated. The only thing is that I think we're looking at two major issues right now. I mean, one is the number of vaccines we receive as a county. So, you know, just referring to Sutter County, I know this is an issue across the board on many counties and many states. But I know that we've been making efforts as a board. You know, just recently last week, CAO Steve Smith reached out to Garamendi's staff to try to lay some pressure on to receive some more vaccines. I mean, obviously, we'd like to get everybody vaccinated, not just the B. And I think it's important that focus on trying to obtain as many vaccines as possible so that we can get them out to everybody that wants them. And then people that don't want them, you know, that's their choice as well. But we just want to make sure that we can get that done. The other issue that I see here is a real priority or really strong issue is that something that Dr. Liu has mentioned, and it's scientific, and that is that 65-year-olds are way more likely, I forget the number, but the percentage is really high, way more likely to be hospitalized and likely to die as a result of COVID. And this has been proven across the board. So it's a challenging thing to look at. I mean, like I said, me personally, I want to make sure educators get the vaccine first, or get the vaccine as well. But when you're looking at the number of lives, I think it's a mathematical equation. If we say, okay, well, if we get the 65-year-olds vaccinated first, then we can move to, you know, tier 1B all through, and then get everybody else done. Then we can save a lot more lives that way. And so I think the challenge for me is making a decision where we can actually lose more lives if we decide to prioritize, you know, educators first. So, you know, again, it's a mathematical equation, but, you know, if you're like Supervisor Ziegemeier mentioned, you know, you're a family member in their 60s, another in their 80s, you know, you're putting potentially their lives on the line. And I think that's a risk I'm not sure that, you know, I'm personally willing to take. So I think the science behind it proves that if we prioritize the 65-year-olds with the number of vaccines we're receiving right now, which to me is too low, and I think the focus of this board should be on pressuring whoever we need to pressure to obtain more vaccinations for our community, more so than saying who gets the priority to do it. Because in my mind, you know, we're only 100,000 people, and I've probably spoken to 20 or 30% who have said they don't want the vaccines anyway. So that brings down the numbers even further to 60 or 70%. And then you have children under 16 who aren't going to get the vaccinations. So you probably only have about 30,000, 40,000 people to vaccinate altogether. And to me, such a small number of vaccinations, we should be able to lay enough pressure on to obtain enough vaccinations for everyone. So those are my comments. It's a very, very tough decision, but I think the science behind it proves that by prioritizing the 65-year-olds with the number of vaccines we're receiving right now that will save more lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Nick, you want to go next, and I'll finish up?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you know, unfortunately, my mother is a recently retired school teacher, and so I can understand the frustration from the teachers, and we're all feeling the pain in some way. And for those of us on the ranch and our farm workers, we want to be able to keep them safe too. Everybody who's involved with the food industry and our first responders. Unfortunately, the bottom line is there's just not enough vaccines to go around, and that's the main crux of the issue. And I think one thing to consider is that the population here in Yuba-Sutter County, if I'm correct, Dr. Liu, is 25,000 of 65 and older. Is that correct? So to think with the limited amount of vaccine, you know, I'm just really concerned with their lives when you see how vulnerable they are to this new strain from the UK. So again, a pressure campaign or whatever we can do to get more vaccine, we'll certainly be doing that and having internal discussions here on whatever we can do. And I think that's all we can do from here on out at this point. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Nick. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. Tom, I agree 100%. I support the Constitution 100%. Anybody, in my mind, should be their choice, whether they get a vaccination or not, and that's their choice. And nobody should try to influence them one way or the other, government or otherwise. 113 people, as of yesterday, have passed away in Yuba-Sutter counties. Dr. Liu, my question is, what percent of that 113 people are over 65?
75% if you average it overall, nearly 80. Yeah.
But that's pretty close in Sutter County and Yuba County as well. So 75% of the people that are dying, and some of these are other related issues. Some people have, you know, heart disease or something else that could cause, or breathing disorders or whatever, cause them to die. But the COVID-19 spurred it on. COVID-19 is indirectly or directly related to the death of all those 113 people. And I don't want to see any seniors die of this unnecessarily. And the way I see it, I am torn. I would really like to get the first responders, the sheriff deputies, the jailers, and everybody else involved, and the investigators as well, all vaccinated. I'd love to get every teacher. I'd love to get every farm worker. But just as Dr. Liu said, if you give everybody priority, nobody's a priority. And that's absolutely true. We have 25,000 people we need to vaccinate. We've been doing about 2,000 a week. That means it's going to take 12 and a half weeks. The variant strain from the UK will be here they estimate in March. It'll be the predominant strain in March. It's, as you read from Dr. Liu's presentation, it's 30% more deadly and 50% more ability to spread. Now, I don't know if I believe everything I read, but I take that it's not even from our government, it's from the UK. But I think that they're probably telling us the truth. Originally, that strain was supposed to be less virulent, less deadly. But now it's turning out maybe it's more deadly. And we have to believe what we're reading. We can't assume, well, that's not even our government. That's an independent group from not even on our shores. But my point is I thank God every day my parents and my mother and father-in-law aren't here today, and I wouldn't be able to see any of them for the last year. That's the way people are living. That's not living. I want to get these people, I want to get everybody vaccinated. I want to get kids back in school. I don't want kids to suffer. I don't want kids, and I think kids are suffering because they're not in school. I think that they're not getting their benefits of education. I think the suicide rates are up. I think everything's up. I think that these kids need our support, and they're not seeing their peers. They're not getting their team sports in. They're not they're not developing their mental abilities because they're not working on team group activities that are so important to children's development in the future. And that teaches them to learn life skills, to learn to work with other people. And they're not getting that. But do we send these kids to school and get their teachers vaccinated and know that we're going to have more seniors die by 75%? Or do we do vaccinate the seniors? And my viewpoint is we have to give it to their option to vaccinate the seniors first and then move on to the other and move on to the tier 1B, which is ag workers, teachers, and first responders, sheriff, deputies, jailers, etc. That's where I'm standing. We're not voting on this today. This is just an informational presentation by Dr. Liu, and we had a lot of public comments on this issue as well. And I thank everybody for coming, and I thank the Dr. Villalobos. Thank you for bringing the report that everybody signed, and we'll discuss this some more. Thank you. All right, moving on. The next item up is the consent calendar. The consent calendar groups together those items which are considered non-controversial or which prior policy direction has been given to the staff that only require routine action by the board. The chairman will advise the audience that this matter may be taken as one total motion. However, the board may, by its option or a request of a member of the public, consider any matter separately. We have items 1 through 18, unless anybody wants to pull anything.
Through the chair.
Move for approval of consent. Oh, go ahead.
You moved consent, Dan?
Yes, I move for approval of consent items 1 through 18.
Is there a second? Oh,
Through the chair.
yes, Nick, Mike.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time here real fast. Steve, am I missing, did we pull out the, what we were talking about earlier about the
Yes,
development of services?
that's item number,
All right.
you're talking about public hearing for 19, Neil Hayes. Yeah.
Perfect. That's it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Roll call, Madam Clerk, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. We now have, we've finished 1 through 18. We're moving on to the public hearing. Number 19.
To the chair,
Yes.
if I may. I'd recommend the board continue this public hearing to the second regular meeting in February. The public hearing that was held last week, we had some discussion on the fees and further stratifying some of the layers of fees to make it, I guess, more fair or more affordable, just to say it frankly, to some of the smaller projects. So staff are working on that, and we could use some additional time to just get that all in place before we bring it back to the board.
So does the board want to go ahead and hear from Neil Hay and open the public hearing, do that part? Or just postpone, do we have a motion to postpone the whole thing?
We actually heard from Neil last week on it, and he'll actually give us the new updated. So I would actually, would I have to make a motion, Steve, to postpone it to the, okay, I'll make a motion to move it to the February 2nd meeting.
I second that
23rd.
motion.
Sorry,
Second meeting.
Second meeting in February.
23rd.
I second the motion.
A motion and a second to postpone this public hearing on the fee structure to February 23rd. Motion second. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Item 20 is Donna Johnson. She will, Board Rules and Procedures, policy number 309. Donna?
Yes, good afternoon, board members. This is a request to approve revisions to the Board of Rules and Procedures Policy 309. This will allow the Assistant CAO to approve certain items coming in front of the Board of Supervisors in the absence or unavailability of the County Administrative Officer. There's oftentimes that the assistant is more available than Steve Smith is at the time to go ahead and help get items on the agenda. So this is just a clerical change just to try to go ahead and make things move a little bit more easily to get items on the agenda. The second portion of this allows department heads to have the authority to apply and accept for grant funding under certain conditions, as long as it is within their budget scope and doesn't require a budget amendment to change, and or to receive the county administrator or the county administrator assistance approval under those certain conditions.
Any questions for Donna?
On the board? I move to approve staff's recommendation.
A second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Madam Clerk?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Item 21, Donna again, records retention.
Yes, this item is to request that you adopt a resolution establishing a record retention and destruction schedule for the clerk recorder, clerk of the board, and the election departments. They're the departments that I oversee. Right now, we have separate policies that haven't been updated in a few years. So this is consolidating and combining it into one record retention schedule for the entire department and each of the divisions.
Okay. Any questions for Donna on records retention? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Nick?
I'll second
Mike?
the motion.
And Nick second. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Item number 22, Neil Hay adopts a resolution authorizing submittal of regional funding program application in the amount of $8.41 million to the Sacramento Area Council of Governments for the Riego Road Improvement Project. Neil.
Yes, good afternoon, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. So in December, we came before your board and presented the project study report for the Riego Baseline Corridor Improvement Project, which essentially is a multi-year, multi-agency project to, in the future, widen Riego Road and Baseline Road from an existing 2-lane road to at least a 4-lane road. The project will address the rail crossing at the UPRR tracks, as well as a bridge widening over a canal. This project is being done in support of the residential developments that are planned along on the north side of Riego Road in Sutter County, the lake side of Sutter Point, of which your board approved the Tier 2 development agreement back in November. And then over in Placer County in the cities of Roseville, they have two rather sizable residential developments that are proceeding. Additionally, the county is working with landowners and interested parties to develop commercial land in the vicinity of the Riego Road overpass at Highway 99. So SACOG has a call for projects. They have approximately $163.5 million available for regionally significant projects. And so our department, in conjunction with the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency and our consulting firm, Dewberry Engineers, have prepared a funding application that would look to receive federal funds for the design, environmental permitting, and the right-of-way acquisition along the corridor in Sutter County. So this is only for the work in Sutter County, and essentially from the PSR document, we have an estimate of what those costs are. The cost to the county for our portion would be approximately $9.5 million. And so we have prepared an application that requests essentially $8,410,350. And then the county, for federal funds, is required to provide an 11.47 match. It's typical with all federal funds that the county receives for transportation projects is that there's always a local match, and it's typically 11.47%. So we've prepared a resolution for consideration and hopefully adoption by your board in support of the funding application that would be submitted to the SACOG offices. It's due Monday, February 1st at 4 p.m. So we would, with your approval, we would submit it. We should hear back by the end of March or early April regarding the project in an effort to get as much support and interest in the project. We have reached out to the agencies, City of Roseville, Placer County, and other jurisdictions that are in Placer County. We have contacted the Greater Sacramento Economic Council. They're providing the letter of support, as well as some of the projected economic benefits and growth that's going to occur in South Sutter County, both from a residential, but then also significantly commercial development. So we are, like I say, seeking the support of the board, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Neil from the board?
Through the chair.
Yeah, Dan.
Supervisor Flores. Neil, was there a reason we didn't go for the whole $9 million, or is it?
Well, so we actually are going for, say, what is essentially the $9.5 million, but in receiving federal funds, we're required to provide an 11.47 match. So we're seeking essentially $8.4 million, and then the county would, our resolution states, commit a little over $1 million in federal road funds from our road fund reserve, and that in combined creates the $95 million that's anticipated to fund the design, environmental approvals, and then the right-of-way acquisition.
Okay, great. Thank you. And with that, I'm very excited to see this going forward, and thanks for the work on it, Neil. It's good to see the progress. I'd also move for approval of the recommended action.
Second.
We have a motion by Dan and second by Carm. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Okay, now we're moving on to item 23. We have numerous speaker cards, but Steve, you want to address it first, and then we'll take the speakers?
Sure. Thank you, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. Steve Smith, County Administrator. So Assemblyman Gallagher's office had provided a resolution which several counties have passed in various forms. There have been some changes at each county depending upon their current situation with CARES Act funding and regarding CARES Act funding, spending timeframes, and a few other issues. But in essence, and this is a resolution that the board can adopt to send to the state, basically saying, please leave data-driven decisions at the local level so that we can have the most impact based upon our current situation. And because we have seen, as what many people have called a one-size-fits-all rulings or orders that have come down from the state at various times. So there's a number of whereas issues in the resolution, but at the end it's kind of summarized in that Sutter County and surrounding communities are best served by an ability to respond locally to the COVID-19 virus in accordance with our local data and circumstances. School districts within Sutter County are urged to take into consideration state and local public health guidance as they safely open schools to provide in-person instruction to the greatest extent possible, and that Sutter County requests a consistent, transparent vaccination distribution from the state to county public health officers, along with clear and accurate public messaging on vaccine availability to assist with an orderly and efficient vaccination process locally.
Thank you, Steve. I guess we'll move on to the speaker cards, and then we'll follow up with a discussion by the board. First speaker is Liz Cervantes.
Liz Cervantes, Sutter County, District 5. I have some questions that I would like to direct strictly to Dr. Liu. The first one is, what percentage of time does Dr. Liu practice in Sutter County? When is she in Sutter County? When she assisted Butte County, for what we understand, hasn't been confirmed.
I don't know if she's still on the line, is she? She's not on the line.
Okay, well, that's too bad. I'll have to come back and ask her again. When she did the 1,200 hours in Butte County, did we get a discount? Did we get paid back for that? Does Dr. Liu even live in Yuba or Sutter County? Why can't we self-govern? I'm asking you today to reverse the emergency public order that is in place and let your people, who have a lot of common sense, self-govern. We're smart people. Forget Gavin Newsom. They should rename that money the I Don't Care Act money, because if we would just open up, we wouldn't have to rely on that tyrannical governor or the person that sets policy apparently under him, Dr. Liu. We need transparency. We need honesty. We need you to hold up your oath. Please. You all say that you understand and that you are constitutional. We're watching you. We want a free Sutter County. Did you know that when all this started, the NA and AA meetings were closed down? Did you know that? That people that were fragile, that were in crisis, couldn't attend help meetings? Did you know that? Did you know that they're still not open? So you talk about suicides, and you talk about destruction, and you talk about the children. What is there to do for kids in Yuba or Sutter counties but to get in trouble? They can't even go to school, for God's sakes. Your fathers, grandfathers, open us up. If you feel like crap, stay at home. It is not your job to protect me. It is my job to protect me. And I wish that we would stop basing so many discussions on money. There is money to be made here. We are a prosperous county under the right circumstances. I'm tired of not being able to move about freely. Our liberties are in question. And you five are in the trenches for us, not for Dr. Liu, not for Gavin Newsom. You are here for us. Please remember that. If you choose to reverse the public emergency health order, Placer County did it effectively, and I can tell you how to do it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Kyla Nelson. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. My name is Kayla Nelson. This is a short audio clip from Dr. Roger Hodkins addressing the handling of COVID-19. His credentials are in the clip.
Mr. Chairman, this is Dr. Hodkinson. I just want to let you know I'm standing by. Oh, okay. Well, we would love to hear from you. The floor is yours. Thank you very much. I do appreciate the opportunity to address you on this very important matter. What I'm going to say is lay language and blunt. It's counter-narrative, and so you don't immediately think I'm a quack. I'm going to briefly outline my credentials so that you can understand where I'm coming from in terms of knowledge base in all of this. I'm a medical specialist in pathology, which includes virology. I trained at Cambridge University in the UK. I'm the ex-president of the pathology section of the Medical Association. I was previously an assistant professor in the Faculty of Medicine doing a lot of teaching. I was the chairman of the Royal College of Physicians of Canada Examination Committee in Pathology in Ottawa. But more to the point, I'm currently the chairman of a biotechnology company in North Carolina selling a COVID-19 test. And you might say I know a little bit about all this. The bottom line is simply this. there is utterly unfounded public hysteria driven by the media and politicians. It's outrageous. This is the greatest hoax ever perpetrated on an unsuspecting public. There is absolutely nothing that can be done to contain this virus other than protecting older, more vulnerable people. It should be thought of nothing more than a bad flu season. This is not Ebola. It's not SARS. It's politics playing medicine, and that's a very dangerous game. There is no action of any kind needed other than what happened last year when we got ourselves unwell. We stayed home, we took chicken noodle soup, we didn't visit Granny, and we decided when we would return to work. We didn't have need anyone to tell us. Masks are utterly useless. There is no evidence base for their effectiveness whatsoever. Paper masks and fabric masks are simply virtue signaling. They're not even worn effectively most of the time. It's utterly ridiculous. Seeing these unfortunate, uneducated people, I'm not saying that in a perjured sense, seeing these people walking around like lemmings, obeying without any knowledge base to put the mask on their face. Social distancing is also useless because COVID is spread by aerosols, which travel 30 meters or so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a speaker card? Okay. What's your name? Okay. Go ahead, Marcia. Do you next, and then we'll.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. My name is Marcy Chamberlain. I'm just going to play the remaining of this audio clip here.
Before landing. Enclosures have had such terrible unintended consequences. Everywhere should be open tomorrow, as was stated in the Great Barrington Declaration that I circulated prior to this meeting. And a word on testing. I do want to emphasize that I'm in the business of testing for COVID. I do want to emphasize that positive test results do not, underlined in neon, mean a clinical infection. It's simply driving public hysteria, and all testing should stop unless you're presenting to hospital with some respiratory problem. All that should be done is to protect the vulnerable and to give them all, in the nursing homes that are under your control, give them all 3,000 to 5,000 international units of vitamin D every day, which has been shown to radically reduce the likelihood of infection. And I would remind you all that using the province's own statistics, the risk of death under 65 in this province is 1 in 300,000. 1 in 300,000. You've got to get a grip on this. The scale of the response that you're undertaking, with no evidence for it, is utterly ridiculous, given the consequences of acting in a way that you're proposing. All kinds of suicides, business closures, funerals, weddings, etc., etc. It's simply outrageous. It's just another bad flu. And you've got to get your minds around that. Let people make their own decisions. You should be totally out of the business of medicine. You're being led down the garden path by the Chief Medical Officer of Health of this province. I'm absolutely outraged that this has reached this level. It should all stop tomorrow. Thank you very much.
If you guys would like, we can forward you all a copy of that transcript, a copy of that audio if you're interested. Just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimberly Reinhardt.
Okay, Kimberly Reinhardt, District 2. As far as this Healthy Communities resolution, I actually do acknowledge and appreciate that the county here worked with other rural counties specifically and realized that we should not all be treated the same counties statewide, that there's such diversity. I absolutely 100% agree. And I thank you for taking those steps and saying it out loud and publicly. Already you are making that statement to the governor, and we should not be treated the same. So thank you. I did say before in my notes, and do want to say again, I hope that you will reject the blueprint altogether. It's arbitrary at this point. The governor won't even release the data that he bases his blueprint decisions on. At this point, as Liz said, we should declare ourselves self-governing and make our own decisions based on the best of our ability of the data that we do know, since the governor won't even give us data that he's basing his decisions and his guidelines on, which change constantly. So I would ask that also that you would declare this a sanctuary county, or declare that there is no state of emergency here. Say no to the governor and make our own decisions here. As far as the resolution itself, the 3 points on the second page, I take issue at number 2. And I wish that you would consider striking number 2 off of this resolution altogether. School districts within Sutter County are urged to take into consideration state and local public health guidance as they safely open schools to provide in-person instruction to the greatest extent possible. Have you read the state school reopening guidelines? They are horrifying. If you have children or grandchildren, or know of any children or grandchildren, nieces, nephews, anyone, I have 3 school-age grandchildren in this county. I would never let them go to any public school with the current guidelines as they are stated. Putting a mask on a child all day for school, keeping them socially distanced from each other and not playing with each other, that is not life. That is horrifying. It is child abuse, absolute abuse. And I think most of the school administrators left, and school people that were here for before the comment before. I realize that the details of school opening is not your decision, but the school board's. But you did court it here in your resolution to follow those guidelines. I would ask you to take it out. As I like most of the resolution, I don't like that part. As to the vaccines and the orderly and efficient vaccine process, it has already been discussed in detail, and I know I'm running out of time. I am truly surprised that you would choose to vaccinate all seniors and not reopen schools for children. My mother would be horrified. My parents are elderly. They're in their late 70s. They're not here to speak. I didn't tell them to call in because I had no idea that's where this was going to go with the last part. They would volunteer to stay home 24 hours a day if it meant their grandchildren could be in safe, open schools. Children need to be with their friends. They need to have consistency. They need to go back to normalcy. Opening the schools should be a very top priority. So since you all do have authority over how vaccines are distributed, and Dr. Liu is your employee, you should command that she allow teachers that want to be vaccinated as soon as possible as a top priority for schools to reopen here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Burns.
So I'm going to paint a little picture of the women in Saudi Arabia, okay, forced to wear a mask. It's dehumanizing, okay. I'm not a Saudi Arabian woman, and I'm never going to wear that thing. So I'm going to, and I do not appreciate the strong arm, okay, of people trying to strong arm me and take care of my health. That's my business, okay? And so I have had horrendous situations when I was out to just conduct my regular business affairs. I mean my personal business affairs. I've been yelled at, screamed at, I've been threatened, I've been stood in front of wanting to fight me. I had a store owner follow me in the bathroom and tap on my shoulder, and on and on and on it went, okay, just with the mask program. And I do not appreciate also this program where they're saying, well, if you don't wear the mask, you can't shop here, okay? Where did we come up with that program in America, right? Or how about if you don't wear the hat, you can't shop here. If you don't wear the star, you can't shop here. You know, that's garbage. So I think we need to rethink it all. I believe in personal liberty. Every person's liberty, okay? Another thing, too, is the presumption that the COVID-19 is, that they have all the facts on it, you know? There's many, many contrary facts to that. So just because, and Mike, I appreciate what you said. Just because you hear it on the news doesn't mean anything, okay? It's proven fact in my life that the news lies constantly. I've been to many, many places and watched it portrayed on the news with nothing but lies, even down to the weather. I mean, come on, they lie about everything. So I'm sick of the news. Also, there are people taking the vaccine that I've heard they've got Bell's palsy. I mean, that doesn't sound too good. And then, are we going to go down the road? You don't take the vaccine, you don't fly, huh? We hear that too. You don't take the vaccine, you don't leave the county. You don't take the vaccine, you don't get your gas. Think about it. I mean, this is the most totalitarian program I have ever witnessed. So that's the way I feel about it, man. And I want to thank all of you for your comments, and I like your comments. Okay, have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, that's item 23. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution for healthy communities.
Through the chair, I do agree with Carm, though, but my question for that is, you know, when we're telling, you know, we urge the schools to do what the state is saying, that's kind of where, you know, it's like the school districts and their governing boards should decide there. So
would you like to?
I'd like to hear what Nick has to say on the subject.
I didn't really have a comment. I was just going to second the motion to adopt it.
What I was going to do is I was actually going to amend the motion. I was going to throw in there that.
Let's get the motion in a second. We got a motion in a second. Now you want to amend the motion.
That's correct. I think that they should take into their consideration their governing board for that school on the healthiness and
through the chair,
and how they're going to open.
So you're saying you want to change the letter before we? I mean, would we have to? Continue that to re-adopt?
We could modify this by Mike wants to say Sutter County, school districts within Sutter County are urged to take in consideration their board's
guidance
as they safely open schools to provide in-person instruction.
That's correct, yeah.
Can we do that, staff? We need a second to that motion.
To the chair.
Let's
yes, question.
Yeah, you can change. Yeah, you can change.
I mean, can staff do that change right now?
Yeah. Well, we would, before we have the board sign, the clerk of the board's office would just change it to the board's specifications.
Right. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. We also have an amendment.
Excuse me, could you please restate the motion so we're absolutely clear what the letter will state?
So, you want me to do it, Mike? Or
if you could, please.
Okay. So, because I have it in front of me. So, school districts within Sutter County are urged to take into consideration their board's guidance as they safely open schools to provide in-person instruction to the greatest extent possible.
That's correct.
Their boards.
Their board, yeah.
So we would strike state and local public health guidance or state and local health, and then leave the rest of it. Guidance as they safely open.
Correct.
You guys, is that clear as mud?
Yeah, well, so I'll second the amended motion.
So we had an amendment and a second, so roll call on the.
So I made the motion, so wouldn't you have to accept?
Oh, that's right. We have to vote on that.
No, first we vote on the amendment. And we have a motion and a second on the amendment.
Yes, correct.
So we'll vote on that first. Clerk?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Carnbanes?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. So now we'll vote on the amended motion.
That was the amendment.
That was the amended motion. Now we're voting.
No, now we're voting on the motion itself.
Right. First.
Right. Unless there's any other discussion. Nope, seeing none. Madam Clerk?
Supervisor McKelly?
No.
Supervisor Flores?
No.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
No.
Supervisor Baines?
Wait a minute. I think you guys want to vote. I mean, what we're doing is we're voting on the amended motion.
Yeah.
No, we voted
The
on the
amendment
amendment.
passed.
Now we have to vote on the motion
Excuse me,
that we amended.
Supervisor Conant, the amended motion passed with the.
Right, but that was the amendment we voted on.
No, you voted on the to change the
Well, we
language.
should have voted on the amendment first, but anyway. So I guess we did all of it?
Yes, you did.
Okay, that's not the correct procedure, but anyway, that's all right. Okay, so that item number 23 is done. So now we're moving on to 24. Steve?
Okay, yes, thank you, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. So it's with great pleasure that I recommend, along with the presiding judge of the Superior Court of California, that of Sutter County, California, that the board consider appointing Nicole Rittner as Chief Probation Officer for Sutter County. So this process was a recruitment process through Sutter County, both internal and external. There were a number of candidates externally that did apply. There were 5 very well qualified final candidates. On the interview panel was Public Defender Mark Vanden Heuvel, Sheriff Barnes, Julie Gill Sheffield, representing the Domestic Violence Council, Judge Ashby, Judge Green, and myself. Actually, Judge Green was consulted after. But there was a round of interviews. There was a second round of interviews. And we were just really pleased with the quality of candidates, particularly internally, that we had. And it came down to a decision that we were recommending Ms. Rittner. Ms. Rittner has about 18 years in probation with about 5.5 in Butte County, and she can step up and correct me if I'm missing some of this. She's been promoted through the ranks in Butte and Sutter County. She's currently the Deputy Chief Probation Officer over the adult division. So there's 2 deputy chiefs, one over adults, one over juvenile. So they're the 2 highest other than the chief. And she has been with Sutter County since, I think, 2013 or 14. And we know she can do a great job. So we're strongly recommending, as per the MOU between the courts and the county, the presiding judge and the CAO need to make a recommendation for consideration by the board. Ms. Rittner is here in the audience if you'd like to ask her any questions or speak to her about this recommendation.
Nicole, would you like to address the board? What's that?
I said after you have voted yes.
No, why don't you just give us a little... It should be on.
Okay. Yes, Honorable Chairman and members of the board, I would be honored to be selected as the Chief Probation Officer of Sutter County Probation. Like Steve said, I've been with a probation officer for nearly 19 years. I've been with Sutter County Probation for 13 years. And during my time with Sutter, I've worked with some wonderful people whom I've learned a tremendous amount from and who I'm excited to have the opportunity to lead. The dedicated staff at Sutter County Probation Department make a truly remarkable impact on our community. I think Mike was talking about that earlier today. And it will be my mission to continue that tradition. I'm here today supported by my husband Dan, my two daughters Mackenzie and Cadence. Also my parents Michael and Darlene Williamson. They're watching safely in their home today, but they are watching the live stream. And they did just get their vaccine this weekend, and I'm very appreciative of that. I would like to thank Steve Smith, Judge Ashby, and Judge Green for recommending me for this position. I know it's not a decision made lightly, and I intend to honor that decision by doing my very best to positively impact our community and lead our department with integrity. I would especially like to thank Chief Donna Garcia. Through the years, she's been a mentor to me, and I hope I can make her proud. I wish Chief Garcia a happy and healthy retirement, and I hope COVID ends soon so she could go on her trip to Spain and complete the Camino pilgrimage, which she was planning on doing before all this happened. Thank you, Donna, and thank you, members of the board, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Nicole. Anybody have any questions for Nicole?
Through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to approve staff's recommendation.
And I'd like to second.
I'll second.
Or let Dan second.
Let Dan will second that one. So
Thank you.
Carm's motion and Dan seconding. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Zickemeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Congratulations, Nicole.
Very much.
Yeah, and through the
And-
chair, Nicole, congratulations. I mean, outstanding. Your family's so proud, and long journey, and hopefully we have you for at least another 20 years.
I don't know about 20, but maybe
19.
I'll go with the decade.
But thank you so much. Thank you.
And welcome aboard to your new task.
Oh, thank you.
Item number 25, Steve, follow-up reports, announcements?
Yes, thank you. Just a couple things. One, Ms. Rittner did email me about vacation and days and how to handle that, and I told her I'm sorry if it wasn't covered, but she can take no days for the first 5 years. And in January 2026, please come and talk to me. No, congratulations, Nicole. And congratulations, Donna, again as well. Just a couple quick things. One, there was a question, and I can talk after, but regarding Dr. Liu working for Butte County. The process was Yuba County has an agreement for mutual aid for the public health officer. So when you don't have one, you have coverage. Between when Butte didn't have a public health officer, there was about 8 weeks where they asked if Dr. Liu could cover. So she covered in the evenings, which would have been after normal work hours, for about between 15 and 30 minutes a day for about 8 weeks. If you do 30 minutes a day times 5 days a week times 8 weeks, then you're at 1,200 minutes, not 1,200 hours. So you're at about 20 hours total on her time. And I'm not saying this to say, oh, gee, she deserves someone's pity or something, but she works 7 days a week, so she puts in plenty of time. I have regular conversations with her late in the evening. The other day I was at the office. This is where I want the pity. The other day I was in the office at it was 8:29 at night, and she emailed me because I texted her something, and she said, I'm about to hop on a public health meeting because the state is updating things all the time, and it's so hard to cover. So anyways, there's that mutual aid agreement. Sutter County isn't technically a part of it. The board was apprised of it, just so they were aware, and she covered in that, and that we would look at being covered if we were without a public health officer for a short time as well. So, trying to see if there's any. I know Dr. Liu won't kind of ring her own bell on this, but she's the only public health officer on the vaccination, the state's vaccination board. And she has, I think that's a bit disrespectful, but.
You guys, see speaking, let's listen.
So she's advocated and gotten 1 week, 300 extra doses for us, and she'd probably be angry if I'm saying this. She doesn't want other counties pressuring her to assist. And then about a week and a half ago, we were allocated 1,400 doses, while Sacramento County, that's 10 times our size, got 975. So no, there aren't enough doses to go around. But when you look at the numbers and you look at the proportion, then she's doing her best to get as much here as possible. And then one other thing, and maybe this isn't my place to say, but I'm going to say it, and I just want people to think about it. Back when the Affordable Care Act was rolling out, I remember there was a lot of talk about single-payer health care and how we definitely didn't want to go that way because you didn't want death panels. You didn't want administrators or government officials determining whether you get your medical treatment. You want doctors. Well, we have a doctor, and it's up to the board to keep or let the doctor go. But I would just caution people that are wanting elected officials or administrators like myself making the decision on who gets medical treatment in our county. It could be, in the short term, it might seem like a good idea, but it's just a thought I had. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Any other, okay, so the last item is nothing else, right, Steve? Okay, the last two items are correspondence, Sutter County Pooled Investment Portfolio Report, and the number 27 is application of alcoholic beverage license. And now we will open it up to Board of Supervisors, other business, or consideration of sympathy.
Through the chair.
Yes, Nick.
Yeah, I'd just like to announce that I'm going to appoint Christine Ivory to the Planning Commission. And, Christine is currently the Yuba-Sutter Farm Bureau president, has been for the last 2 years. She's been on the Yuba City Economic Development Commission for, I think, since 2012, and I think is currently the chair. So certainly has the qualifications for the job. And I like that she has an ag background when we're talking about general plan concerns and ag buffers and things of that nature. So happy to have her, and I think she's going to do a wonderful job, and we'll make it official for the record at our next meeting.
Thank you, Nick. Carm or Dan, would you like to go next? Dan, you're number 2. Uh-oh, you got it on mute.
Oh, I have nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Mike.
I'd like to close in memory of Brett Page. Brett Page passed away this past weekend. Brett grew up here in Sutter County, graduated from Sutter High School. I actually coached Brett in football at Sutter High School. He was probably one of my favorite kids to be around. He was really fun to hang out with and watch grow up. I watched him grow up at my brother-in-law's house with his little brother and their friends, and just a great kid. And he happens to be Jim Whitaker's brother-in-law as well. And he is going to be greatly missed. He's going to leave behind 2 kids, a wife, and a very loving family. So it was a memory of Brett there. And another person I'd like to close in memory of is Faye Mason. Faye turned 100 years old this past year. And a matter of fact, we actually voted on giving her a certificate of proclamation, and for that to celebrate that 100 years. There was a parade in Sutter put on by her grandson, and the sheriff deputies were part of it, and the fire department. And we never got a chance to give it to her because of COVID. And it breaks my heart because 100 years old, but she just recently passed away last week. On a positive note, I'd like to give a certificate of congratulations to Gary and Lorraine Wilder of Sutter, celebrating 65 years of marriage. So Gary, throughout high school, he would help out as football players and doing highlight videos for us and so forth. He didn't have to do it. He did it for everyone's kids when he was around. You know, his grandsons went through the program. Now they're off in universities and so forth. But him and his wife and their family, they do so much for the school district out there, and they're all part of it. And 65 years, absolutely amazing. And that is it for me.
Thank you, Mike. Carm.
Yes, through the chair. I'd like a letter of sympathy or condolences go to the Gonzalez family, a longtime Yuba-Sutter native, David Speedy Gonzalez. Everybody knows from El Zarape Restaurant. Did passed. We've got David loved and strived to support this is growing community, and he has done that his entire life here in the community. He was a proud member of the Yuba City the Yuba City Rotary Club, the Alliance for Hispanic Advancement, Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce, and various other community events that he led or participated in throughout his years here in the community. He will be missed, so hopefully we could, he'll be missed but never forgotten. Hopefully we could send something to his family. Today actually marks January 26th is Republic Day in India. Last month, you guys, the board previous to me coming on, presented a letter in solidarity to the farmers in India that were challenging these three laws that were implemented by their government. Today was supposed to be the largest tractor rally in Delhi. They're projecting upwards of 98,000 tractors to go around the town there. And so in support of that same Kisan Morcha, that we just pray for their safety and well-being, and that hopefully a good outcome, because they obviously have good intentions. And lastly, I would like to share well, here if I could open this up. Give me 1 second. Today marks it's 1 year since the passing of Kobe Bryant, and just a quote from a mentor. I this is I don't want to get emotional. Hold on, let me start off with a quote. Everything negative, pressure, challenges, is all an opportunity for me to rise. Kobe Bryant. This quote applies to us as a community. We're all under pressure and facing many challenges. So let's use it as fuel as we come together as a community to rise together. So it's the first time I've had to pay sympathy or condolences, so excuse me if for a little sentiment, but didn't mean to get a little emotional. Thank you for the
That's all right. Thank you, Carm.
Matt, through the chair,
I'd like to.
I got one more real fast. I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
go
I
ahead.
wasn't going to do it, but my cousin Frederick passed away this past weekend. He was actually served in the Air Force. He grew up in Sutter, went to Sutter High School as well. And he's been living in Oroville for about the last 40 years. But like I said, served our country in the Air Force.
Thank you, Mike. I'd also like to double David Gonzalez's closing memory of him. David, as you said, owned El Zarape Restaurant. The family started, I think his parents actually started originally. And David was always there at the restaurant and until recent years, and was always very friendly and outgoing and talked to you. And he actually lives in my district. And a couple of times when I was walking precincts, I'd stop and talk to him. And really a great guy and very involved in Rotary and all kinds of other community events. I'd really like to second Carm's closing memory of David. And I'd also like to say just one thing. I think we need to respect our Dr. Lou. She's our only health officer we have. And I don't agree with everything she says, but she's trying to do the best job she can to support our community. And, you know, we're fortunate to have a health officer. There's the health officers in this community, in all the United States, because the pandemic is taking its toll, are falling like flies because it's not what they signed up for. Nobody has lived that's serving as a health officer today or been experienced a pandemic that we have today. Last one was 100 years ago, and nobody's still alive that's worked in one, or still working, obviously. So, you know, let's try to judge others by their actions, and I think she's doing what she thinks is right for our community. You may not agree with it, and I don't agree with everything either, but she's doing the best job she can. And I'd like to think that that's where we're at. So I guess in memory, let's do a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
And motion by Ziegemeier and second by Carm Baines. Will roll call, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. We are now going into closed session. Conference of the labor. Madam Clerk, you probably go read that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have two closed sessions today. The first one is going to be conference with legal counsel existing litigation, Tahara versus the County of Sutter, Sutter County Sheriff's Department et al., case number CVCV 18-01850, Sutter County Superior Court pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 1. The second closed session is conference with labor negotiator Gina Rowland, labor relations for all bargaining units, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming, and we'll be back.
We can show you how. Live streaming can be simple and not expensive. You may already have the basic tools right in your hand. But it's more than just pushing live to communicate effectively. That's where Yuba-Sutter.live and Live Streaming YS on Facebook can help you. Make it easy to jump in. Just give us a call at 530-301-2931 or visit our website, www.yuba-sutter.live. Yuba-Sutter's home of live streaming and live streaming tools, live streaming services, technology, and training. Live streaming is Yuba-Sutter.live.
All aboard!